Hi, I'm Hannah with Half Moon Yoga and Art. If you've ever had an old painting on a cardboard panel and you actually did a really good job and you want to know how to transfer that onto an actual canvas, wooden canvas. So here I have an example. This was on a cardboard panel board, and I took the top canvas off and wrapped it around a wooden board and mounted it, and now it adds a lot of value to the piece. So what you want to do is first you want to look at the size of the canvas. So this one's a 16 by 20, and unfortunately you are going to lose about 2 inches on each side to do this procedure. So you need to ask yourself, is it worth it to add all the value and making it sellable by putting it on the wooden panel, or do you want to just keep it looking cheap even though it's an excellent work of art? So I want to take the 2 inches off. That's my decision. So you're going to go to the store. So this was a 16 by 20, and then I bought a 14 by 18 wooden panel. Go ahead and take that plastic off. So before you get started today, actually you want to make sure you have some wood glue, a palette knife, a couple of large plastic bags will be helpful, wet paper towels, dry paper towels, or you can use wet cloth, dry cloth, as long as you don't mind getting glue on it. And then I chose an outfit that I don't super care about. It's fun, and this one's easy to wash. So yesterday I actually got some wood glue on it, and I was able to soak it in boiling water, and it came right off overnight. And last but not least, you are going to want razor blades. So be sure to keep these away from small kids, flat, old-fashioned kind. All right, so we're going to start by laying out the plastic bag, or if you have tarp, anything like that to protect your table, and then turn your painting over. And we're just going to follow along where you can see this little line here that runs along from where the canvas ends and where the paper begins. So I'm just going to go at like a 45-degree angle and slowly, 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 slowly just make the cut in the paper. If you lose track, just go back, it's okay. All the way down, and you want to do that for all the sides. "45-degree angle with control. Next side. Last side. So ultimately, we're trying to get deep underneath the canvas and get rid of this paper on top. Okay, now I'm going to go back and try to peel up where I see the canvas. So maybe that takes a few more digs with my razor blade. And then get your fingernails in there and just slowly try to lift that portion. You don't want to tear the canvas, so be as careful as you can to not do that. So sometimes that means taking a little bit more cardboard than you'd like. But in the end, it's okay to have a little bit of cardboard as long as we have the canvas saved. And be careful with your fingers. You don't want them to be in line with the razor. Okay, next side. Get in there a little bit deeper this time. Maybe all the way to flat angle. This one's a lot easier. I'm just gonna lift the whole thing up so I didn't have any tears in the canvas. And then the corners, you wanna separate the overlapping piece. Lift those up. That sound is like the canvas breaking free from the cardboard. Okay, now the next side. You want to try not to let the razor go all the way through when you're doing this, because if it does poke into this canvas on the edge, it can get a little tricky when you're gluing, but still, you know, you can always work with it, save it. Don't get freaked out. I would recommend trying your first time on maybe not your favorite painting, just in case you tear it a little too much. So I'm just going a little bit deeper than that initial cut, just from a sideways angle. Maybe I need to go one more time if I don't feel it cutting very deep. There we go. So up here I had some wood get stuck. It was glued to a wood frame. So it's just going to take me another moment to get this tricky corner off. In the end, the corners will be covered, so we don't have to worry too much about it. Okay, so now I can open up all the edges. And you can start to see where the canvas begins and where it meets the cardboard. So you're just going to kind of go around all the edges. And just lift it off. Pull it back. We just want to gradually start getting it off of this cardboard. So you want to try to see if you can find a place where there's barely any cardboard sticking, and that's going to be your point to start pulling the whole thing. Sometimes the cardboard sticks a lot, and sometimes you can get just that right edge where it doesn't. So I think I found one right here, so I'm going to go ahead and start. So place it down and just slowly pull up and back. Really slowly. And then do another little row, probably just like 1/4 of an inch at a time. Don't want to pull too hard, it could totally tear your whole painting. Just little by little. And now I feel like I'm kind of picking up maybe more cardboard than I want. So maybe I'll try a different edge. Alright, now I'm going to switch. Maybe I'm going to do the top edge. See how this one works. So I pull down little by little, maybe a couple millimeters at a time. This one's coming pretty clean from the cardboard, not holding on too bad, so I like that. So you'd be really lucky to get a super clean cut, no cardboard attached, but I'm willing to deal with a little bit. Still looks pretty good. Try to keep this edge as even as possible to not create creases in your artwork. Just inch it down, millimeter by millimeter. You're giving a good tug to it, but like I said, not tearing, not getting too anxious. Maybe try another side now. Okay, now I'm like almost there. Ooh, this side's really coming off. Yeah, the more you start to get it off, the more it just really wants to come off with you. It says, I'm done being attached to this horrible cardboard. Take me away. And then at the end, be very careful so you don't rip the whole thing to shreds. Okay, I have a little more cardboard than I like down here at the bottom, so I'm just going to kind of peel that off quickly. Okay, voila, now my canvas is free. I'm going to set that to the side. Now I can toss this board. I'm done with it. Clean up some of the little flakes. All right, now I want to get my other trash bag ready because it's going to get messy. So I'm going to put my nice example away, set up my other trash bag. So just a warning, your hands are going to get dirty. Don't really recommend wearing gloves though, because you do have to use your hands constantly, so the gloves just might not get you the right pressure that you need and the exact focus that you'll need. Okay, so now I'm going to put the top back on my razor for safety. Put that aside somewhere safe. And I'm going to start gluing. So I like to turn my canvas over, open this glue up from the whole top. The whole top can come off, because if you just use the safety top, it ends up taking forever. So I'm just going to pour it on nice and thick. Kind of like this. And use a palette knife to spread it thin. You just want it spread nice and even. Pretend like you're just making frosting and you're frosting the cake. You want to go all the way up to the edges. And you want to get up on that flap for sure. The whole thing needs to be saturated. So for wood glue, it takes like 24 hours to dry, but they recommend saturating both surfaces. So we're going to do both the canvas and the wood panel. So just a nice even application all the way around. Feel like there's an area that needs a little bit more, go ahead and give it some love. Both directions, vertical and horizontal. go ahead and set your knife down on the plastic, and now we'll switch. So I'm just going to move this bag and rotate with this one. Okay. If it gets on your hands, just use one of your wet paper towels. All right. Okay, now I'm gonna cover this whole thing. This is so much easier than keeping that cap on. It takes a really long time. Tried it yesterday. Okay, spread your cake frosting. But don't eat this, I'm just kidding. And if you think you poured too much, you can always pour it back in. But don't forget, you have to do the sides too. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and scoop over to the side. Since I had extra, you just want the whole thing covered. It's okay if you get a little on the plastic bag, that's what it's there for. Don't be shy. So I just like to scrape the paint all the way down, let it fall over the edge and smooth it out. Excuse me, the glue. Okay, I'm going both ways. Okay, now I feel like I have a nice even surface of glue. I'm going to lift it off of the bag, and I want to make sure that even over the edges on this side I get just a tiny bit. I don't want to cover the whole bag, so let me show you what I'm doing. I'm just scraping the top here, because you're going to wrap that canvas board around just like 1/4 of an inch. I'm smoothing out this side, gathering some of this glue, wiping it down the side, excess up here, and you can scrape off the bag if you need some more. Or I can just pour it, dip my palette knife in here, and use it like this along the edges. And I need to get the other side. I'm going to go ahead and turn it. bottom. Almost done. Smooth out that side. Go ahead and check. Did you miss any areas? Oh, this side's a little too saturated, so I'm just gonna share the wealth. Try to paint over any fingerprints. Okay, I think I'm ready. So now I'm going to very carefully try to place it on this canvas. About 1 inch on each side. So you want it balanced exactly in the center. So you're going to hover the panel over it and check. And then when you think it's even, start to set it down and even double check. Go around all the sides. Make sure it's even. And when you think you're ready, go ahead and clean your hands and get this out of the way. So grab one of my wet paper towels. Now we're really going to need these wet paper towels. I want my hands nice and clean for this part. A wet cloth would work really well too. Okay, so I'm going to put my fingertips around the painting and pull it up and over this edge. Then I'm going to press it. Now let me make sure the bottom is also going to fit. That was just a piece of paper. Okay, good. Otherwise I would need to scoot and adjust my painting accordingly. So you want this corner, this edge from where it wrapped around the cardboard to fit on this edge of the wood. You're just going to use your clean fingers to press and work your way all the way down, pressing the canvas to the wood with all that glue. And if you feel some squeeze out, go ahead and get one of your wet paper towels and try to find where that glue is coming from. And then go over it on the top. Pull those edges down. You don't want a bunch of air pockets. So we're trying to get rid of pockets of glue and air pockets. And then you can go over it with your wet paper towel, and this will actually help peel off that layer of paper once it gets nice and soaked. It should just come right off. So you can work on that more later. Now, I'm going to do another side. Make sure your hands are clean again. This part does get kind of tedious. I think it helps to turn the painting away from me and then pull those edges up. So you want to just pull it towards you all the way from the center out through the sides. And then over the top, press down. So you're relying on the fact that you saturated both the wood and the canvas with glue. Shouldn't be a shortage of glue. If it does seep out, get your wet paper towel, wipe it down. Okay, almost there. All right, now we're going to turn the canvas and start getting the sides. It's a tiny bit tricky here, so I hope you've had experience wrapping a present. So we're going to fold in this top piece like a present. So I'm tucking this corner to meet the top edge of this wood frame. Now I'm going to press down on this triangle here of actual canvas, actual painting, so that you have triangle folded in, okay? Now, other side, I want to do the same thing. So take that corner and fold it, press the corner into the edge of the canvas here, and then triangle with the rest. Press it down. Now we need to add some more glue. I would take my knife, spread some glue on top of that triangle. And we also need to clasp these corners together up on top. Stick a little glue in there and fold that triangle down. Stick a little glue in here, press it together, and on the outside, pinch it in and fold it down. You might need to hold it for a moment if it's a tricky one. Okay, now, this one really wants to be tricky. So this is one that had that little bit of wood stuck to it already. I'm just gonna probably hold it a little bit more later too. All right, make sure my fingers are clean. Okay, last one. Pull up all the way from the bottom edge, the center here, and press. I just got glue on me again. Pull and press, press, all the way up. Send all the bubbles of air and glue up to the top. And then once you get here, you're just going to pull it all the way towards you, releasing any extra glue to be oozing out. And then get a wet paper towel and wipe that excess off. And then time for the last side. So scoot it around. Here we go again. So we're going to fold this piece in. It's going to make a little triangle and a little triangle pop up on top. One here and then one here. This side too. Triangle up here, triangle down here. Go ahead and get that little bit of glue to cover the bottom triangle. Stick a little bit in the top one and then wrap it on top. Press and fold just like you're folding a present. Press and fold. Hold really tight. Okay, wipe my fingers whenever you feel necessary. Now pull this piece up, grab onto the bottom of the picture and pull it towards you. Pull around those corners. I feel the glue moving. And I'm getting that corner lined up exactly where it was on the panel board with this edge of the wood. And then I wrap it, really pressing, and then really hard. And then, oh good, some of this paper's coming off. So I have a little part that keeps coming up here. Need a lot more glue. And over here. So it does take 24 hours to completely dry. Sometimes you just have to hold for a little bit or put something heavy on it to keep it down. Finally, I'm just going to wipe over with a really wet paper towel. So I'm going to get a really wet one right now. And just make sure the whole frame is cleaned up. I can wipe up some of this paper on the edges. with this wet paper towel. There we go. Getting more of that paper off. And then when you're all finished, ta-da, you have a beautiful painting that wraps around the sides of the wall. And you can hang that up, and that can be worth some money. And of course, if you do see any glue immediately on the front, you want to wipe that off. Should come right off. Just double check everything before you let it set to dry. All the corners especially. All right, thank you for watching. This is Hannah with Half Moon Yoga and Art. Hope to see you again soon.